I'll just go and get Inspector Thorne, so I don't know everybody who's here, so sorry.
Julie Clark.
Julie.
Are you alright sat there, Karen? Okay. Yeah.
Paul. It's Jake.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll go and get Inspector Thorne's. The reason obviously I'm inviting you here today is to obviously give you this letter, Carol. So
Can you just wait while you've got Mr. Thorne's and give it me, please? I'm going to record it.
Okay.
Who's this?
Oh, is it?
Mm. Yeah.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hello there. Okay, there's a couple of faces I haven't seen before.
Julie Clark,
Okay,
Carol's friend.
yeah. So the lady will give the statement most recently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll introduce myself, Ian Thorns. I'm Detective Inspector for Child Safeguarding, and you've probably met my colleague.
Yeah, Alex was Sergeant from Hurstville Police Station.
Are we in tape recorders?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if it's all right, if I can go around the table, just we've done this before. Carol, the last time that that you came here, so just so we know everybody's in the room. So if you wouldn't mind, just
I'm Ella, I'm a daughter.
okay.
Carol Higgins, here to find out the decision from CPS.
Julie Clark, family friend.
Paul Appleyard, Carol's brother.
Jake, Kyle's son.
And Laura James is from Victim Support.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so Carol, unfortunately this day has come. The CPS decision is not to charge. We have a letter from the CPS lawyer who reviewed the case, and she's written a letter to yourself. The protocol around these decisions is that we actually serve the letter to yourself.
Why wasn't it served in 2005 then?
Well, let's just listen to this.
Okay, so it's to serve that letter now.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the letter here. You can read it if you wish for me to read it out, so everybody can hear it, and then we can all hear what's being said. Then I'll certainly do that, and then we'll go through what happens next. I would like to put on record, even before you read it, or before I say it out, that I can try and appreciate what this means. I know you won't. Well, it's probably not my place to try and understand that decision. Okay.
All right then, I
say,
appreciate that you try and understand it, but can you appreciate, you told me, you both did, that you believed me. Do you still believe me that he'd raped me?
yes. And actually,
Do you, Alex?
I do, yeah, and I said that from the very outset, Carol.
You told me when I spoke to you that you're gonna get him. You said you'll get him this time.
And do you know what? We've tried, but ultimately it's not our decision.
So is somebody blocking you from above?
no, absolutely not.
Well then, how come you can't do enough evidence? You've
Let-
not.
I think
Let's
at this
just
point,
first read this letter,
Carol, this is your copy of the letter, okay?
and then all these
Is
questions.
that your copy
then.
of the letter? Is that your?
That one there.
that what's
It's
in
just
here?
literally
That's a
it's
photocopy
just
of
a
that.
photocopy of your letter.
That's a photocopy of that.
Right. Can you read that out, please?
Yeah. Carol, do you want to read it first? Or do
No,
you
I'll
want
let
me
you
to?
read it, I'll follow it.
Okay, all right. So it's from the CPS. It's addressed to Carol Higgins. It says for delivery by hand. It's got the case reference number, and that's each individual case has an individual case reference number. So that's what it got on. That's what's on the top of the letter, and that's to be used in all communication. It's dated the 5th of July. It says, "Dear Miss Higgins, my name is Sarah Nelson. I am the lawyer working with the Crown Prosecution Service in the Rape and Serious Sexual Offences Unit. I received a comprehensive file from West Yorkshire Police regarding the report of rape made by you in 1984 and 2005, and then more recently in 2014. A male was
Them dates are wrong.
just bear with us.
We'll
A
try
male,
and rift it.
a male was questioned by the police in connection with your allegation. Although I realise that you are aware of the identity of that male, I am unable to name him in this letter due to legal restrictions. In making my decision, I have carefully reviewed the case by applying the Code of Crown Prosecutors. This guide guides me when I make decisions about prosecutions. The CPS does not decide whether a person is guilty of a criminal offence, but makes a fair and independent assessment about whether the case should be considered by a criminal court. I have decided that there is not enough evidence to bring charges in this case, as I do not believe that there is a realistic prospect of obtaining a conviction. I am writing to explain why I made that decision. In his interview, the male denies any activity of a sexual nature. This means that the evidence in the case is word against word. The police looked for further evidence capable of supporting the prosecution case. The police did not provide me with any direct evidence, but there was some evidence which could be used to support the account you have given. There are no eyewitnesses to the actual allegations. It goes on to a second page. However, in addition to looking at the evidence that I have been provided with, I have to take into account that the evidence gathered during the police investigations in 1984 and 2005 is no longer available. The prosecution will be obliged to show that the male could have a fair trial. Given the lack of evidence from both investigations, I have concluded that the prosecution could not establish this and that the court would stop the case and as an abuse of process. I realise that providing your interview to the police will have been a difficult experience. Nothing within this letter is intended to leave you with the impression that you have not been believed. I have informed PS 6496 Alex Wilson, the officer in the case, of my decision. I hope that he or a colleague on his behalf will be able to bring my letter to you in person so that they can answer any questions that you may have. Under the CPS's Victims' Right to Review scheme, you can ask for a review of my decision. If you would like further information about this or would like to discuss my decision, please contact the Victim Liaison Unit by calling, and there's the numbers and the times Monday to Thursday or a different time on a Friday, and there's also an email address. Or in writing to CPS Yorkshire and the Humberside, which is Greenfield House, Scotland Street, Sheffield. A request for a review should normally be made within 5 working days of the date of my letter. However, requests can be made within 3 months of this date. An early request allows for a prompt review by a prosecutor who has not been involved in the case, and where appropriate, the case to be restarted as soon as possible. If you would like a more detailed explanation of my decision, I will be happy to meet with you to provide you with as much of my reasoning as I am able. I should emphasise that the purpose for this meeting would be to explain and not revisit my decision. If you think that such a meeting would assist, please inform the Victim Liaison Unit, which the details are attached, and arrangements will be made. If you would like to bring someone with you, please let them know. More details about the Code of Crown Prosecutors and your rights under the Code of Practice for Victims of Crime can be found in the leaflet, which is enclosed with my letter and the CPS website. I appreciate this may not be the outcome you wanted, but I hope this letter helps you to understand how my decision was made. So that's got Sarah Nelson, Senior Crown Prosecutor, details at the bottom, and the practices that the officer in the case, which is Alex, actually signs the letter on their behalf in order for us to hand that letter over to you. The second attachment is then the information regarding information for victims, explaining. Would you like me to read this out and go through this as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is about the CPS. The Crown Prosecution Service is responsible for prosecuting criminal cases investigated by the police and other investigators in England and Wales. How the CPS make decisions: we decide whether or not to prosecute by applying the Code for Crown Prosecutors and any relevant policies to the facts of that particular case. the code sets out 2-stage test that has to be applied to ensure that our decisions are both fair and consistent. Stage 1. Is there enough evidence to charge? We must be satisfied there is enough evidence to provide a realistic prospect of conviction against each defendant. If there is not, the case must not go ahead, no matter how serious or sensitive it may be. If there is a realistic prospect of conviction, we will ask the next question. Stage 2. Is it in the public interest for us to bring the case to court? A prosecution will usually take place unless we are satisfied that the public interest factors against prosecution outweigh those in favour. When considering the public interest, we take into account views expressed by victims about the impact of the offence has had. So the remit of the CPS decisions. The CPS's function is not to decide whether a person is guilty of a criminal offence, but to make fair, independent and objective assessments about whether it's appropriate to present charges for the criminal court to consider. The CPS assessment of any case is not in any sense a finding of or implication of any guilt or criminal conduct. It is not a finding of fact which can only be made by the court, but rather an assessment of what it might be possible to prove at court in accordance with the Code of Crown Prosecutors. This assessment is based on the evidence available arising out of the police investigation and not on the evidence that is likely to be gathered by the defence and likely to be used to test the prosecution evidence. The CPS charging decision is therefore necessarily an assessment on the basis of the evidence that is available to the CPS at the time the decision is made. CPS prosecutors must also keep every case under review so that they take account of any changing circumstances that occurs as the case develops, including what becomes known of the defence case. If appropriate, the CPS may change the charges or stop a case. And further information about this can be found on their website. What can victims expect from the CPS? The Code of Practice for Victims of Crime, the Victims Code, sets out minimum standards of service that victims can expect from the CPS and other criminal justice agencies. It aims to ensure that victims are provided with timely, accurate information about their case at all stages of the criminal justice process. Further information about the Victims Code can be found, and there's a website details. How do we keep the victims informed about our decision? Victim liaison units, VLUs, are responsible for informing victims of decisions to stop a case or significantly change charges. They are a dedicated point of contact for victims who want further information about our decisions. The VLU can also advise victims on how they can seek a review, make a complaint or provide feedback. How do we keep victims informed about their right to review our decisions? The Victim's Right to Review, which is a VRR scheme, gives victims the right to request a review of a CPS decision, either not to bring or to stop criminal proceedings. Victims can contact their local victim liaison unit, where one of our professionals will be pleased to provide information about VRR or advise about requesting a review. In addition, there is a VRR leaflet which contains more detailed information and can be found on the CPS website. How can victims provide feedback or complain? Victims can provide feedback or make a complaint about any aspect of our service. Further information on how to do so is available on the CPS website. If you are dissatisfied with our response, you can refer a complaint to the Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman. Further information on how to do this is available on their website. And then there's a useful contact information for information about CPS, and to view or download an electronic copy of this document, then you can go to their website, and then the contact numbers and the addresses of CPS and also victim support.
So, the dates are wrong on there. There's more evidence from other times. And what's this about minimum standard of service that victims can expect from CPS? I've never had any contact with CPS.
Well, this right. So, by us submitting the file to CPS, that's the first point of call with CPS, as in from now, as in not 1984, 2005.
1984, 2005, 2012, 2014 and 2015. They're
Right,
the
so-
dates I've
so-
knocked on the police's doors.
Right.
And you've only put 3 down there.
Right.
So that obviously the evidence hasn't gone in from before, and you're saying that you haven't even got that evidence from them times on there. So where's it all gone?
Where has all the evidence gone? From, I mean, they took swabs and everything, didn't they?
Yeah.
So what happened to them?
From the original event in 1984.
1984.
It was all legally destroyed.
Well, I thought evidence was never destroyed, it was always kept.
Well, I mean, don't quote me because I don't know the exact, but things that you've got to remember, things have moved on since 1984.
I know a gentleman who's in the police force and he does historical murders, and he told me to ask you for that evidence that you said we're going to take 3 months when it wasn't. When it didn't take till 9th of June, and you said I wouldn't find out until I
Surely cases of rape and things like that, they wouldn't destroy
No.
evidence like that. Never in a
But it's
million
like my
years, surely.
statements, my 17-page statements have gone as well, haven't they?
Well, some things
But-
there will have been different procedures and different guidelines. To be fair, we have said this right from the outset about I can't change what happened in 1984. I can't change what happened in 2005.
Right, so...
Well, but
What
surely you
can-
can investigate what happened in 1984 and why it's gone out. Investigations can never be closed. Just never close something like that. You should be able to find out what happened to that evidence.
Right, if it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. If we can't find it, it's not there.
Well, who got rid of it?
I don't know.
Well,
Unfortunately, we weren't in the job.
D.S. Barnes and Sonny Strafford told me that my statements had been lost, and then D.S. Barnes told me that they'd been burnt along with everybody else's in the 80s. Why would they keep mine? But then there's the evidence in 2005 should still be there. The evidence that it doesn't say 2012 here. So did you give the CPS the letters from Jordan solicitors saying that they wrote?
Everything that you submitted, Carol, went to the CPS.
Well, how come 2012 isn't on this date then?
And that's a question, Carol, that you'll need to address with the CPS lawyer.
right.
So just let me clarify that though. So
You told me you'd seen a file on your computer from 2005 saying CPS had thrown my case out because they questioned my sexual credibility, activities.
Right.
You told me that.
So where
and
would
that
the
were in
letter be
2000
from 2005?
Where's the letter from 2005?
Right. So the letter.
You said you saw it on your computer.
Right. I think we are getting a bit across here. So when the CPS are talking about, when you first raised about CPS, the victim code with CPS, yeah, and your interactions with CPS, and how many times you've interacted with CPS. So this is the first time in the current climate that myself and Alex have sent a file to CPS. So that's what they are referring to.
Right, so where have you
and-
sent a file then to in 2000? Did you send them the file that said that CPS threw it out because of questioned my credibility about my sexual activities? What you told me you'd seen.
The information that we have, sorry,
Go on.
the information that we have in 2005, the matter was reviewed by a CPS lawyer.
No, how can it have been? Because I never had any letters like you're doing
Right.
this with
So
me now.
so that's right. Okay. So I'm okay. So the victims review and this code of practice. This is the current one. I don't know what that code of practice said in 2005.
Well, you've never had a letter like this before, have you?
No,
Handed to you by
Close.
police.
Close.
But so that is where things will have, I'd like to say, moved on.
no,
Yeah.
it was still the same in 2005, where they would have had to do this to a
I don't-
victim.
Victim's
I
right to review
I don't know.
wasn't. Victim's right to review wasn't in 2005, as far as I'm aware. But I'll go away and check.
Well,
some of these
I
points.
think,
If that's okay,
I
about
was
when the
told by
letter-
the gentleman in CPS that it was actually made that in 1998 or something like that, where that was changed. But I'm still not getting the answer to this. In 2005, she's saying that there's no evidence. Did you send the evidence to her that you'd told me in 2005 that they reviewed it and they kicked it out because of question of credibility? Did you send that to them, what you'd seen on your computer? Did you send that to them as evidence?
Any documentation in relation to the previous...
Did you, Ian Thorns?
yeah, we've sent everything
Everything.
to the CPS. I know you. I know. And
So
we
when
covered
will
that
I
last time.
find out what's gone to CPS? Where's my bundle that's been sent? When will I get to see it?
Can we request that?
Yeah, she's just said you can request.
Yeah.
You can put in a request to any organisation for information, just like you did.
Come-
You know when you did with the police.
So
We want
I
to
will
see all
know.
the information that's been sent to CPS.
Yeah.
And the question that I've got for you both, you've both said that you believe that she was raped by my father, Elliot Appleyard. Right? Now, if this was your wife, your daughter, would you stop here right now? What would you do from here?
I have every sympathy with. I'm disappointed at the end.
No. I've just. If it was your wife, your daughter, your sister, where would you go from here? You wouldn't stop, surely. What would you do?
I'm not saying that they should stop necessarily.
What would you do?
All we're doing here today is, unfortunately, we've got to give the information.
I know you've given the information, but I'm asking you a question.
Do you mind if I?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if this would help or not, but I'm obviously not a police officer and I don't have to make those sorts of decisions. I don't work in CPS and I don't have to make those sorts of decisions.
Laura,
But-
I think he just wanted an answer off him before anybody
Yeah,
questioned it.
yeah.
Just come in a minute. He just wants to ask.
What would you do if this was your wife, your daughter, or your sister, and this happened? You wouldn't let it go. What would your next move be?
Well, I think that for your own peace of mind, you need to contact CPS. I think you need to go through the challenge. I think you need to probably have a face-to-face meeting with the lawyer.
The
reviewing
lawyer's
lawyer.
expecting that. Absolutely expecting you to take up the option.
What would you do?
So are you saying your next step, if you were us
Okay.
as a group, you would need to speak to the CPS, this Laura?
That is how
Sarah.
you're going to.
What would you do? What would you do?
Take this next stage and see the lawyer, because that's how you have a mistrust of me and Alex that me and Alex will never be able to put right as much as we try, and you have a mistrust that we haven't sent all the documentation to CPS. Okay, I can stand here shout until I'm blue in the face, but you're not going to believe me. Okay, your right to review, like Laura said, is about seeing that documentation.
If my case went to court, I will get believed.
Well,
and there's people gone to court for less.
Let me answer, please.
So
if
that's
you just
why I
let me.
question whether it's gone to CPS or not.
You need to be satisfied in your own minds that myself and Alex have acted in your best interests since the invest. I know you don't think we have, okay, but that's your next part of your process, is to find out that me and Alex have done the best.
What you've said you have.
Best that we can
You
do.
haven't
And then if you still got, would you then review it? Would you stop there? Would you just stop if it was your wife, your daughter, or your sister?
You'd always be wanting to get the justice. I get that. You would.
So you wouldn't stop.
It's a difficult question to answer when you're not in that position.
I think the fundamental.
Put yourself in that position.
I have put myself in that position, and you'd want to fight it as much as you could. Okay. However, we have taken it as far as we can take it. We have presented the evidence, and a lawyer has to decide. And this is not us passing the book. It's not us passing the book. A lawyer has a different angle to how evidence can be used in court, how they see it being managed throughout a court process. Okay, that's their skill. They have deduced from everything that you've told us and everything that we've put forward. And I did say this right the first time we met around. The biggest hurdle for the whole process is what happened in 1984 and subsequently in 2005, and that's the hurdle that we have not been able to get over.
No, because you've got a statement, because I come in 2014 to Normanton where they made me sit for 5 hours. Where's that statement?
That's still there.
Has it gone in?
A written statement, Carol, in 2014. I don't have a written statement from
No,
you.
I went into Normanton police station and I then made me wait 5 hours and I gave a written statement and then I went in to see Sonia Strafford in Dewsbury police station afterwards. So you should have a 5-page written statement that I made in 2014. And you've not sent that in.
I think it may well be a booklet which was completed at the time, but there's not.
No, paper. Proper pen and paper she took, like me coming in to see you taking a statement,
Right.
and she wrote 5 pages
Right.
down. Maybe more.
I can tell you there's not an MG11, which is what a statement is, a handwritten statement from
Yeah,
you.
because do you know why? Because when I went in to see Sonia Strafford in Dewsbury, and I said, you've made me wait 5 hours, this lady took it, this police officer, and she said, well, it's not actually evidence, it's not actually a statement because it's never been signed, because it's never been given a crime number.
Yeah.
That's what she said, it was never given a crime number. So, but you still must have that in your logs, you must have that.
All I can say is, from my point of view, when I took over the investigation, everything that
And
you've
what's the
given me,
booklet?
And I think if it was happened to you, like I said, put yourself in that position, you would find out, you would investigate where all this evidence has gone missing. You would look right into it and find out where all this evidence has gone, who got rid of it, when did it get rid of.
5 page. I have 5 hours. I sat in Normanton Police Station in 2014, and you haven't put that to CPS because you haven't found it. So that means there's a cover up.
So you haven't been looking.
There has not been a cover up.
Well, where's the statements then from 2014 when I sat 5 hours in Normanton Police Station just after I'd had my bowel cancer operation, and I sat 5 hours on a Sunday, and I've got a boyfriend who I went out with at the time, Stuart. He can count. He was there. And I made, so where is them statements from 2014? Where
How
are
do
the
you
3
know
patients?
there's not a cover up though? Because you're only little fish in a big pond.
Right, well, you have that opinion of us.
Not
okay?
an opinion,
It's
it's
not,
a
it's a
question.
fact, so, yeah.
How do you not know? Right, like you said, you've only been in this recently for the last few years or whatever else, you've only been a part of this. Why is everything so...
Well, just goes missing.
It just goes missing, and it's, oh, well, that's just how it is, I'm afraid. Oh, well, that's just how it was back then.
And
But then you
unfortunately, though, back then, in terms of
Back
1980...
then? 2014's back then. 3 years ago is classed as back then. That's what I want to know.
So you're talking about...
And this is something else. Do you know how they're saying it's word against word? You've got a poster in your reception.
Right.
So you're saying if a child gets raped and they come forward and they say, I've been raped, and the person who raped her said, well, I haven't, that's just word on word. Does that mean that none of them children are going to get justice?
Each case is judged on their own individual merit.
If that was the case, though, that would just be simply word against word. I've read 50 magazines where they've stated they've come forward when they're 25, saying that their uncle's done it to them when they're 10, and it's word against word, and they haven't admitted to it, they haven't done nothing, but yet they get followed through.
Yes, they do. They weren't investigated by someone.
So
in
what's gone wrong with
1984.
CPS then? Do you know why this Laura?
Sarah,
Why don't call her Laura?
It's okay.
Why she, like, as a lawyer, has looked at it and thought there's not enough evidence? Have you got any inclination about that?
Right, they the last time we met, we talked about an MG3.
Last time we met, we talked about an MG3.
The last time we met in the other room at the police station, you asked us a number of questions around what we'd sent to CPS, and we told you there's a document called an MG3.
Yeah, can I see the MG3?
Right, so we discussed that, didn't we, at the time, which is a confidential.
And it was that thick when I've give you loads of evidence as well.
It's a confidential document that is between the police and the Crown Prosecution
You
Service.
haven't put all the evidence into CPS because you would have had them statements from 2014 that I made in Normanton Police Station and then came through to see Sonia Strafford in Dewsbury.
Right.
Who sent me a letter actually in 2014, I've got it, saying why, without a crime number or without a reference number, and you've got that because I gave it to you in the chronological order dates as well of Sonia Strafford, saying that I went in. So where is that statement? And I signed it with an officer. That has not gone to CPS, and that's just one of the things that you're telling me. Not everything has gone into CPS, and if it had, it wouldn't have been this decision. 4.5 hour video statement.
It would, Carol, and that is the real.
12 witness
that is
statements.
How do you know if that's
Medical
how do you know
records.
it would if it hasn't been there, if it hasn't got it?
Everything.
I keep hearing is everything. Can we just see what everything actually is?
Well,
can I have like evidence of what's gone in? Can I see that?
No, not at this time.
Why?
Because you've got to go through a legal process, and that the legal process is what's just been explained.
I'm surprised you've
on
come in
here.
with less information about your own steps of what you've done. Like, this is proof of what we've put here. This is proof of what I saw on my computer saying that it got reviewed in 2005. I'm surprised you haven't got it in front of you so you can spell it out to us and prove us wrong.
The thing is, though, sorry to interrupt you, Ella, the thing is, what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm hearing it totally differently, the police and CPS are two separate bodies.
Yeah.
So that you've handed everything over, and actually I think no matter how much Alex and Ian maybe tell you, it would be more helpful for you to be able to see. And the only way for you to do that is to go and ask CPS, what have you been given and why did you make this decision?
That's what we need to do, Carl.
Because Alex may have taken, sorry Alex,
That's what we need to do.
he may have taken all of the statements, but CPS have to look at what was said in all of those statements as the police, but they have to apply it and they have to look. If this went to court, this is what I was kind of saying before, what I was going to say. If it went to court and we put all of these statements forward, if we put all of this evidence forward, what is the likelihood that a jury would have absolutely no doubts in their mind and 12 of them would convict? That is what a lawyer's doing. The lawyer doesn't know you. The lawyer is applying the law.
He's only going off what he's being given, and I don't think he's being given enough. So we need to go. We need to find out now. We need to get in touch with CPS and find out what these two officers have given him.
Yeah.
That's our next stage, because we are not letting this go. And you wouldn't. And you wouldn't.
Elliot's lawyer, solicitor, whatever, has he been given all this information? As this has been carrying on, all the evidence that she has given, has he been handed this information?
They haven't been handed any.
So he hasn't been given.
But he's been given the information of
So
witnesses.
evidence was put to him in his interview.
So you told him the names of all 12 witnesses
Yes.
or give them statements, and you normally do that when somebody hasn't been arrested.
Do you?
Yeah.
Surely you can't,
Yeah.
because
So
then
it
it's
won't- it won't- it won't
surely witnesses can be intimidated.
Yeah, they can,
if
yeah.
you give, you cannot surely
Yes,
name a
I-
witnesses. You can turn around and say you've got these witnesses, but surely unless it is being charged, he doesn't get to know them witnesses. Surely, because
Is that
being
law, that? Is that law what you do?
Is it law, Alex? What did you tell me? What part law?
Carol.
Is it law to give Appleyard the names of 12 witnesses?
so if somebody
So it's Cray Twins.
what
So if
about
we
the
sat
witness
in front of Cray
protection?
Twins and you'd set at Cray Twins, well, these people have said that they've witnessed you murdering all them people. You're going to tell me that Cray Twins aren't going to go out there and bloody kill them bloody
Because
witnesses?
I'm not being funny, my name's
Yeah.
on that list.
Yeah.
As a... And,
In respect to yourselves,
yeah.
no, because Elliot wasn't interviewed last.
Oh, you were
last
lucky,
year.
yeah, because...
So my name's not on the list?
Luckily, yeah.
But,
Yeah, but
no,
surely-
seriously then, so
If you give a statement, on the back of the statement there are a number of questions that you're asked around being vulnerable, about an intimidated witness, whether you would require any special measures if you were in need of if you were required to provide your evidence. So there's kind of a risk assessment around divulging the names of people. If I could just say to yourself, if I were accusing yourself of someone and I said to you, I have a statement before me that says you did X, Y and Z, probably the first question is you'd be taught to me is, who's saying that?
Who's saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but unless you wouldn't say it, you wouldn't tell them, because then that gives you a chance and a reason to go out and intimidate them.
But how can you defend
Yes,
yourself?
yes, it
They have
does. But there's a general kind of a risk around that, and there is the law to protect you from that. But as a person being accused of doing something, you've got the right to who is the person actually accusing me of that.
So you give him, when you went to this voluntary statement to Elliot, what did you two?
Here's myself, I've interviewed
Right,
him.
so when you interviewed him then, and you actually said you got a name of 12 people that were going to
all the
stand
evidence
up.
is put to an interview,
Yeah.
and he's given that opportunity to give his version of his account.
And what's his account then?
Well, I'm not going to go into the details of what his account is. In essence, he's denied what's gone on.
So, what future evidence does she need other than, well, this...
do you know?
Do you know what I mean?
I'll be brutally honest here, as honest as I can be, that any more evidence that was to be... Is there someone who was present in the room when this took place?
Oh my God.
And that's... I know...
That's what it's based on.
No, please, no. Don't misquote me or misunderstand me. That would be...
I seen her just after it had happened. I've seen her in tears. I've
know,
dragged her round to the phone box when she slit her own wrist after it's happened.
And you have provided and given that evidence of
That
which
means
we have
nothing.
put forward.
And that means nothing.
No, it's very clear that doesn't mean nothing.
No, but you've got to admit it feels a little bit like that.
There's
From this
people
side
who
of
haven't got
fence.
nearly
Yeah.
enough as that.
I understand you must be frustrated, but
Wait.
do you know if she's giving all these statements
Yes.
and she's done in all this,
Yes.
and then she's still...
And I said to Carol,
Do you know what I mean?
I do think she had a poor service previously.
You give me one now.
That 5-page statement from 2014 never fucking went in! Nothing's gone in! You haven't done your job properly!
Right, so I think it's time to put this to an end.
Right,
Okay.
we'll get on to CPS, Carol.
I want that evidence what's gone to CPS because I went to see Sonia Strafford in 2014 after making them 5-page statements and that's not gone in and there's lots more stuff not gone in.
There is,
Right.
there is, and we'll find out, we'll find out, Carol.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Sarah's the one that
As an outsider, I think there's been a massive
She's
between
lived with
Carol
it all
and
her life.
yourself.
This is
Do you know what I mean?
this is literally our life. You have no idea though. You have no idea.
Because it's not
To watch
just
your mother go through this every day of life. You can't imagine it. You can't imagine it.
How do you feel? I couldn't even bath with my kids because I knew what that bastard had done. And I felt that if I bathed with my kids, I could have been painted the same as him. I couldn't even bathe with my kids like a father should do.
I wish you could have lived in our house to know. They would know. If a jury saw
Well,
this,
even
they
the
would
tattoo,
believe
the
it.
fact that he's abused me, putting tattoos on underage and everything, names. Lied about Jim Pipkin, lied about the fucking dog's name. Why? Why?
You knew who Sam was. I told you who Sam was.
Did you put that forward to him?
Carol, everything.
Everything. So why isn't a 5-page
Carol,
statement?
Carol,
You lied to me on the phone and I've got that on recording yesterday saying that this was a bloody update and not a chuffing review.
Right.
You've lied to me all the way through this.
Right, you asked me you asked my opinion of what you should do now.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So first things first is the right to review through CPS.
Yes.
Okay, to get in contact with the victim liaison people and ask for that personal sit down like you've got now with me and Alex, to sit down with the CPS lawyer. She's more than expecting that. Okay, I can assure you that she's expecting you to come and have that conversation with her. Okay.
And that's when we'll get to see all the evidence that's been put to her.
Not necessarily. She will go through her reasoning as to why. So if you've got particular questions about what about this statement, what about that, she'll be able to tell you, well, this is how I viewed it and this is how I would
So what
consider
about
that.
this document that's been sent to CPS? Can we get hold of that for
So
her?
again,
in the
that's through the
meantime?
same scheme. That is down to whether
Are
they
you
how
getting all
they will
this?
share that and how you go through the legal services in order.
So
to
she
get
can
hold
see
of it.
everything that's actually being sent to CPS.
I can't tell you now that you will see everything. I don't know the answer to that question of what you can see. I would hope that through a legal process you can see, because that's the only way you're going to be satisfied that yourself and Alex
They've done your job right,
have
because
done
I
what
Can
we
I
want.
just say
Right.
something? Another thing. I've been asking to see you for 18 months because I said I wasn't happy with how I was being treated like Alex Wilson. You refused to see me. Even Laura asked to see you, that I wanted to see you, and you refused to see me and said not until after a decision being made by CPS. I've had one person to deal with through all this, and then the only way you saw me was because I come in without letting anybody know. Oh, it's nice to put a face of paper. I have been treated like a tramp all the way through this case. You haven't gone through to see anybody who took them statements off. Every one of them, you didn't turn up on that day. Every one of them, and let them know you wasn't coming. You have treated my case trivially, like it's fuck all the time. My Auntie Hilda...
Nobody's looked for this
Carl,
box. Nobody's looked for this
no,
box.
Carl, but does his name begin with C-O-K? I'm not taking a statement from my Auntie Hilda. Don't argue with me, Carol. It's up to me who I take statements from.
Do you not believe that's a little bit of idle policing? The fact that, can you look at me? Can I have some eye contact, please, from an officer, please? Because I can see this is probably doing your head and you're rolling your eyes and that you really want to get out of this room as quickly as possible. I think we all do. But what I want to know is, can she just get an answer to why did you not turn up and why didn't you ring anybody in advance? When people are waiting for statements to give them.
I can't comment on every individual statement that I've taken.
You did it to every one of
No,
them.
can I just ask, why would you not, if you're not going to turn up, when people have waited and people have taken time off work, why would you not?
And quite often there may well be a very good reason as to why I've been.
If somebody's wanting to give a statement, and why haven't you gone to this? If there's evidence there to be taken, why haven't you gone to take this evidence?
And if you don't know now, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't
Not
you
enough
say it in the...
evidence.
Not enough.
We made a list and you didn't continue with the list.
So on the second point, okay, so we've talked about CPS. On the second point, as in, you're not satisfied with how we've conducted ourselves, B, and how the investigation has been investigated, then Carol, you're already in correspondence with Penny Morley at Professional Services. That's your next point of contact, okay?
Right, if you've been told that there's a box,
Yeah.
he's got a metal box. Now I've seen that metal box. Right, why haven't you looked for that metal box that he's got evidence, he's got photos of what he's done to her in this metal box?
Right.
Why haven't you gone looking for this? If you've been told that there's one there, why haven't you gone looking for it? Surely it's not hard to go in and have a look.
So have you seen that box recently?
I haven't seen that box recently.
When did you last see it?
A long time ago.
Was it at the time?
But have you gone looking for it?
Just, if you won't mind, so I can try and quantify and answer you
Yeah.
in the right manner. Okay. So when did you last see that box?
Probably when I was 17.
So just
30 years ago.
okay. So what year would that be?
87.
Okay. So he was arrested back in 1984. That we do know,
No, I do not know why he's saying he was arrested, and how do you know that he was?
because that's what
It's documented on the crime.
Oh, so there is some documentation of what's gone back on in there, them days.
Oh.
But some of it's gone.
It's documented within your mother's statement
What is?
that he was arrested.
She doesn't know he was arrested.
She signed a statement saying that he was arrested.
No,
Okay.
no, well, we'll
Right.
ask her
Are you
again.
gonna let me answer.
All right then.
Okay. So it's
You're
documented
lying
within
all the
the-
way through, you're lying.
I just think
Let
we
him
need to
finish.
Go on,
bring this
go
then
on.
if we're just going to be accused of lying, because we're not.
Go on, Alex, please.
It's documented on the 2005 report on the system that he was arrested. It's documented that you
2005 that he was arrested?
on the computer system, on the information that we have from 2005. It's documented within that he was arrested.
But no, Sonia Stafford told me that he wasn't.
As in, he was previously arrested in 1984.
1984. So people
They
have
wasn't-
given subsequent statements in other investigations saying that in 1984 that happened.
So,
Does that make sense?
So he was arrested. So
so
why
the
did they
information
come
we've
to
so the
me?
information we've
Well,
always
if they was
Listen, let him
arrested, why
finish.
didn't they take statements off my mum and my brother and everybody then?
we're going back to I don't know back why things didn't happen in 2005.
Right, but still,
So the box was
still,
mentioned back in then, and if you're arrested, then you do searches, and you would search for that relevant material. Nothing's been found.
nothing's been looked for.
No, they never knew
Right,
about the tin
right.
box. I
So-
didn't tell you about the tin box
So,
back then in
Then we-
1984.
Okay, so then we come to the present day. Where is that box now? Okay, how do we find that box?
That box is either in his house or on his land.
Okay,
He will not. You know yourself. People that commit crimes like that will keep documentation of it. They will keep things like that. Maybe to go back and masturbate or whatever. I don't care. But he will have kept evidence. He will have kept that. He will have just hidden it somewhere. It needs finding. Do I have to go myself and find it?
well, our powers to find it. So, correct me if I'm wrong here. So we've said that there's a new piece of land, and it could be in that new piece of land. Okay, so dealing with current procedures now, in order for us to go and search for that, we would have to get what's called a Section 8 warrant. Okay, a power. We'd have to go before a magistrate and say and explain our reasons why we wanted to go and search that land. And at the moment, we have one piece of information that, not saying that it is on that land, that it could be on that land, and the magistrate has to be. I'm looking upwards for the wording. That it's reasonable grounds to believe that would be on either
And
in
just
the
ask him and
premises
threaten
or
him that
on
you're
that
gonna-
land.
Or if I went to his house, knocked on his door, right, and he got a gun out to me, which he's still got, then you'd have reason to go into his and search his property.
Just picking up on your point.
Yes.
That, you know what you said about threatening people. That is not how we can operate.
No, I'm saying if not necessarily threaten. Okay, I used the wrong word. If you were to say, "Are you happy with us, Elliot, to go and search your land?" Not needing a warrant. What if you asked him, and then watch his face and watch his response?
And he can say no.
Yeah, and that's
We
fine.
wouldn't
Well,
have
that's
the
just we
powers.
expect him to say no anyway. But
Is that a possible thing, though?
Well,
that?
what we have done again is, and CPS are not there to drive a police investigation. However, they are there to seek advice from. And what they are saying is, even if we found that it does not change their position, and this crucially and ultimately, for which I am sorry for, we cannot get over the hurdles of 1984 and 2005, and I am really sorry about that.
What do you mean you can't get over the hurdles?
Because of what went on in 1984, have it been investigated? Your opinion, let's keep that out of it, that it was investigated in 1984. It was looked at again in 2005. and then
And is
subsequent
that why
what we've
this
done.
case hasn't gone forward?
Ultimately, that is the stumbling block, yeah. The hurdle that I said to you right before, that I had an honest held belief that I thought we could
But
get
nothing's
over that,
happened
that we
in
could get-
2000.
Yeah, well,
Nothing's
that's the
And
thing
this
that
is
they're
get
going to
over
get to
that,
the bottom
but-
of, because this is the thing, it's not true. What they've been given isn't true. The information isn't true. There's not, so that's something that that's going to be easily followed through, because you can't make up something that just didn't exist in the first place and then put it on a piece of paper.
Now, you've said, you posed a question around records being destroyed, and you'd want to know the answers about that, okay? There will be...
There is no proof that my case, he was ever arrested in 1984, and no proof he was ever arrested in 2005. No proof whatsoever.
Apart from word of mouth.
Apart from word of mouth. That you just assuming.
And
Like, and you know,
based on
yeah,
that. That's why
my
he
mum
hasn't
don't
been
know,
nominated.
I don't know, it's just assuming. And it wasn't. There's no proof that he was arrested unless you have got it on a document that there is proof. Have you got legal documentation that says Elliot Appleyard were brought in 1985 or 84 and that he were brought in 2005? Have you got legal document that says that?
Not from 1984, no.
And have you got it from 2005?
On the police committee from 2005, it says that the information is that he was arrested.
Oh, by?
Original investigation. I don't know off the top of my head, Carol.
And so
But it's all
can I
documented
get
from
that
there.
information in 2000?
Yeah, and we go back to...
Because you're lying, because in 2005 Sonia Strafford never went out to arrest him. She came to my house and asked me and she said we couldn't open a case. I rang her up and asked if we could open the case in 2005. She says you can't because there's no statements to compare it to. I begged her and cried and says, can I recompile them 17-page statements? I started doing 3 pages and I just said to her, is this what you need? She took it away and rang me up and said it's gone to CPS. I went, well, it weren't even made in a police station. It wasn't signed. There's 3 pages and I was just saying, is this the kind of thing that you want me to write? How can that have gone to CPS in a decision? You have to go through bloody Rassie Gatekeeper and bloody Ian Lawrence. It cannot happen. There is no evidence. He's never been arrested in 2005
No.
or 1984. He's never, ever, 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 ever been arrested. Once.
Have you all got proof he's been arrested then in 84?
Again, referring back to the different documentation that I have is, and I think that Carol, you previously confirmed it's documents on the crime to other investigating officers that he had been arrested. Now, rightly or wrongly, whether that's been misinterpreted or written down, the information on the documents were that he was arrested.
Oh, you're taking my word for it then, that he might have been arrested, but you're not taking my
Your
word for
mum-
it that he's raped me.
Right, your mum, all I can say is, well, in the current investigation, your mum provided a statement to me in which she said he was arrested at the time.
She didn't know if he was arrested at the time.
Well,
Somebody came to
right.
our house and said, I had internal forensic evidence, I give the statement. Somebody came to our house and said, we've been to his house and looked. And even that were a lie, because I don't even believe they've been to his house and no case is going to be open because there's no evidence being found. Nobody ever mentioned that he'd been arrested. But now you're saying, well, he's got to have been arrested for him to look. They could have just told me. There were never any documentation like there isn't now. So that is not proof that he was ever arrested. It was just hopefully assumed that he would have been arrested, but he wasn't. He was not, and you haven't got the evidence that he was. So if that's the hurdling block that stopped me getting justice
it's not,
now,
it's not.
you've just said it is.
I'm sorry, I just can't believe that evidence gets destroyed. There's no documentation of any of
Well,
this.
it doesn't now. Things have changed. a
No,
lot of
because
times
no,
since-
because
you've got to
even
bear
from
in
back
mind-
in them days, what they do is they just put it onto a database and they just transfer
Well,
it onto a
you know better than me,
database.
because in 1984 I was only 4. Okay, I only joined the police in 2005. Okay, so what's gone on previously? I don't know, and I don't know the answers. I can't tell you what actually happened.
No, but surely that's what you'd look into. You'd look into what happened to this evidence. Surely you should. This is your job. What happened to that evidence in there? What happened to that evidence?
it's
Who
not-
destroyed it?
What happened
When?
to the evidence
But
in
you've got to
2005?
you've
What
got
happened
to-
them 3
You
pages?
can't just say there's
What?
no evidence. That's it.
Right,
You've
but
got to
no,
investigate
you've got
where
to-
the evidence
you've
is
got to
gone.
appreciate now everything is electronic. Okay, so all the documentation statements we put onto the computers.
Well,
there.
do some police work like they used to do in the old days.
Where's my
Find out.
statement?
Do it the old way.
The police, it doesn't say on there in 2012 that actually Jordan solicitors wrote to you. It doesn't say in 2014 that you've actually got the statements that I made in Normanton Police Station.
What did we do before computers? We went and knocked on. So go and knock on some doors. Go and find out what's happened. What happened to them? What happened to all that
Oh,
stuff?
they won't. I've had to do knocking on doors and finding who everybody
Do some
are.
bloody legwork for a change. Instead of just sat there on a computer, no, we can't do this, I can't find this, oh, sod this. Go do some legwork.
Right, I think it's time to draw this to a close.
So have you told us everything we need to do?
Yeah, and it's all within
I
that.
think we have.
So always think, have you or not? You can't give people information like that. You've got to say yes or no.
It's all within the letter
It's always-
about your next course of action.
Right, Carol, we need to get on to CPS. That's his first step. We're not going to let this drop. And we're going to find out if you two has done your job properly.
Okay.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't, some heads will roll. Come on.
I hope you all feel happy with yourselves. It's disgusting how I've been treated by my both. I hope your kids never get raped and abused. Karma just come around. You won't let me down. You're a lying, cheating toe rag as far as I'm concerned. You've been telling me you're going to bring evidence and you've never been right with me.